Hi folks, welcome back to Aviary Adventures. We're on for another adventure, and this time we're heading towards Somerset and then eventually the south coast. So it's Friday, it's about 4:30. I'm just going to go around and feed all the aviary birds, and then we're going to head off. Some of the species we hope to find are American ringneck duck. We're hoping to find a young rosy starling, a Kentish plover, and then hopefully on Sunday a Sabine's gull. So these are all cool birds, and there may be some other ones too. So join us on this adventure. Hey folks, it's about 7:10 now. We've grabbed some food, a Subway, which is super. I was really hungry, and we're heading now down to Somerset. So we'll probably be there at about maybe 11, half 11 at night. Catch you there. Road trip. Hey folks, it's late, it's 11:20. We finally made it to Somerset. We're going to watch a little movie and then on my phone and then go to bed. So let's see you in the morning for our first twitch. Hi folks, it's early, it's pretty dark. We're at I think it's Hawkridge. Pretty. Hawkridge Reservoir in Somerset. Pretty beautiful. Lots of birdsong around us. My wife appears to be stuck in the back of the car. She can't get up. She's got dressed and she's laid down, and she can't actually get herself up because of the mattress, the airbed. It's so funny. After leaving the lovely Hawkridge Reservoir and all the mud by the road, which some of it made it into the car, we headed to a place called Wiveliscombe. I think I've pronounced that right, I hope so. This is where the rosy starling had been seen, in a residential area. When we arrived, there was a couple of very friendly birders there, one local, one not. They were looking in trees, searching through flocks of common starlings. After about 15 minutes, the rosy starling flew into a tree in front of us. It was a youngster and a pretty scruffy looking bird. Yet we were all very happy to see it, and we watched it for a few minutes until it got spooked and flew off. Success! We got the rosy starling. It's a youngster. It's starting to come into plumage, which is kind of cool, but it's a bit scruffy looking, but it's down. That's our first bird of the day, and it's a lifer. Woo! Right, we're on to the Kentish plover. Let's do it. We headed up to the coast to a place called Burnham-on-Sea. When we arrived, a couple of friendly locals helped us out with some free parking, which was super, and we headed to the seafront to see if we could find this Kentish plover. Hey folks, we're at Burnham-on-Sea looking for a Kentish plover. We've spoken to a couple of people, nobody's seen it. So somebody put online that it had been here about 8ish or whatever this morning, but nothing at the moment. So we're going to have a bit of a walk, see if we can find it, and if it's not here, move on to the next bird. Upon looking out, we discovered the tide was out, so there was a massive area to look over. There were a few birds about, like widgeon, some mixed waders, including redshank, a whole load of avocet, but no Kentish plover. So we headed on to the next bird. This meant a trip to SHAPWICK Heath Nature Reserve to look for a reported American widgeon that had been there. We arrived, unfortunately took a wrong route, headed back, and were directed to a high hide which overlooked a bit of water. There were lots and lots of ducks there, including many widgeon, some gadwall and some pochard. Initially we didn't see the duck at all after much scanning, but we were led to believe it was close in the bank, perhaps behind some reeds. So we went for a walk to try and find it or get a better view. Eventually we did find it. It was on the side of the bank, having a sleep behind some reeds. We watched it for some time in the hope that it'd wake up. A couple of times it lifted its head up when it was disturbed by some other ducks, including a quite annoying female mallard that sat in front of it, blocking our view for a while. Eventually it put its head up and had a bit of a preen, so we got some really nice views. This was a superb, handsome looking duck. We were very pleased. So success with the American widgeon. It was asleep, but it stuck its head up a couple of times. So we've got a bit of footage. There was a mallard that was annoyingly getting in front of it quite a lot, but hey ho. We've got it, so that's the second live for the day. So we're gonna grab some lunch now and head to Hanwell RSPB, which is kind of next door. Apparently there's a lesser scorp and possibly even glossy ibis there, so let's go. At that point we decided it was time to grab some lunch. We had a picnic with us, so we ate that and then headed to the nature reserve adjacent to where we'd just been, which was Hanwell RSPB Reserve. We'd heard there may be a lesser scorp here. There also may have been glossy ibis here, certainly on previous days, so we thought it was certainly worth a look with it being so close. We had a short walk through some of the reserve. It was very good. There were lots of lapwings and ducks, thousands of coots, some gadwall. We had a lovely view of a great crested grebe, which was awesome, but no lesser scorp. So we had a look on our birding app and discovered that the lesser scorp had been viewed from a back lane nearby, so we took a drive to find it. When we got there, a very friendly biking birder pointed the duck out to us. We had some reasonably distant but good enough views. There's another lifer. Back in the car after a bit of a trip to Hanwell RSPB, which was near where the American widgeon was. We had a little bit walk around the reserve, and then we drove down a back road for a lesser scorp, a female one, which we saw with the help of a very nice chappie. So that's another lifer. So while we were there, we had a conversation with a lady who's pointed us towards where we might see cranes. So that's our next plan. So it's going to be a bit of a mad rush because we've got a couple of things to see before it goes dark.
You have to follow a very mad map.
And I've got to follow a mad map. We frantically drove to where these cranes had been sighted previously, trying to follow the little map given to us. It directed us to a bit of land that was overlooked in a couple of places. After scanning this land from both of the places, the cranes were nowhere to be found. Hey folks, so we took the advice of the lady with the cranes, but unfortunately after much scanning in fields for quite a while, we didn't see it. The cranes were nowhere to be found, so maybe they roosted in there and they were somewhere else. Anyway, before it goes dark, we've come to try and find a Richard's pipit on the south coast in Dorset. Yeah, hopefully it hasn't already gone to roost. I reckon it's going to be maybe 10 minutes walk or so to get to it. But cool, so wish us luck. We walked down a very picturesque little lane towards the sea and finally found a field where there was a few other birders there, but no one had seen the bird since early that morning. The only bird about seemed to be the stone chap. It's dark. We've been for the Richard's pipit and apparently it's not been seen since this morning, so we got another blank on that one, unfortunately. So it's dark now. There's some lovely people down there. We got chatting to a couple of really nice gents who were very friendly, as a lot of birders are. So that's awesome. So we're going to go and grab some dinner and head towards where we're staying tonight, in the hope that tomorrow we get to see a Sabine's gull.
That'd be good.
Fingers crossed on that. See you in the morning. After a very quiet night, we woke up in Northney, which was near Portsmouth, in an even more muddy car park. So, another very muddy night with us getting in and out of the car means like the car is caked in mud. There's mud there, there's mud absolutely everywhere. So I'll have to do a bit of cleaning of the old jalopy when we get home, because there's mud in shoes. Anyway, let's go for a day twitching. We got changed and cleaned ourselves up as much as we can whilst being overlooked by this lovely male kestrel. Not moaning about the mud again. Morning, it's our first twitch of the day, possibly our only one, I don't know yet. We've got a long journey home. This is looking for a Sabine's gull, an adult one. which I've seen this bird before, but not an adult, and Kaylee hasn't seen it yet. So it's well on our scope, and it was hopefully, fingers crossed, worth quite a long journey for. Wish us luck. We arrived at Langstone Harbour, walked along the seawall for a while until we saw some birders. When we caught up with the birders, I spoke to a gentleman to ask if the Sabines gull had been seen. He pointed about 10 foot in front of him, and it was there, just sat on the floor. It was a beautiful, clean looking bird. Didn't seem to be at all bothered by anyone around it. We were really close. You get kind of an idea of how close it was in this mobile phone footage taken by Kaylee. So we stood with it for quite a while. The gentleman next to me was waiting for it to fly because the bird has quite an amazing wing pattern. We stood there for quite a while. It did take off, flew for a little bit, and then landed even closer to us. These birds breed up near the Arctic Circle, so presumably they don't see that many human beings. So this is why we think the bird was so confiding. I had seen one of these birds before, back in 2015 at Pennington Flash. This bird was reasonably tame as well. It was quite an amazing thing. We were sat there, the bird was standing less than a shadow's distance away from us. You can see that on the video. So we were able to get some quite close-up photos and videos. This was a true privilege. A little later on, the bird took off and flew a few meters away from us, landing in front of some other birders that were there. So we thought maybe it's time for us to go now. We did spot some other birds while we were there, like this preening green shank and a lovely rock pipit that was catching food amongst all the mud. And on the way back to the car, we saw a few lovely Brent geese feeding quite close along the shore. At this point, we decided to start heading towards home. We did stop though on the way at Wixall Moss in Shropshire, as a hen harrier had been seen there that morning. Hey, we've done a few hours drive and we've stopped off for a bit of a breather because it's a hell of a long journey at Wixall and Fens Moss. It's usually good for a walk anyway. Somebody earlier today saw a hen harrier here, which would be nice to see because Kaylee's not seen one before.
Not yet.
But it's always a good place to have a bit of a twitch anyway, so let's see what we find. The moss was still beautiful and quite eerily quiet. We didn't see many birds at all, let alone birds of prey. We did see a pair of stonechat and a few widgeon. Other than that, maybe a couple of crows. But now it was time to head home. We were losing the light. We had to get back to home and the backyard aviary. Hi folks, we've just had a lovely walk on Wixall Moss. We didn't see that much. It's really quiet. We had a couple of stonechats and widgeon, crows and bits and bobs like that. But a lovely walk nevertheless. The sun's going down now and we're going to call it a day for our weekend. Pretty successful. We've got a few really good birds, including the American widgeon, lesser scaup, rosy starling, and the amazing Sabines gull this morning. Here's to the next time. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and please subscribe. See you soon.